Welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rosenwomble Realtor Paul Fuqua is here to share market facts, the fundamentals of selling, buying, owning, and improving your home, plus interesting experts. Now, here is Paul.
Well, welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on April 28th. We have a little bit of a revisit of February on this sunny day, but a bit chilly. I hope you're doing well and have had a pleasant week since last Thursday. I'm joined by my co-host and colleague, Joyce Carcase. She and I are professional realtors, and we have had hundreds of buyers, sellers, and investors as our clients in the Hampton Roads area. And our job in running this show is to try as best we can to cover the fundamentals of real estate. Your home is probably one of the largest investments you've made and will always be a source of wealth. And we feel that as much knowledge as we can impart on how to prepare your house to enjoy it, how to prepare your house to sell it, and then how to find out what you really should buy when you do go back out on the market. If you're listening and you want to talk to us live on air, please dial us at 757-497-1310. I'll repeat that. On air, 757-497-1310. Off air, you can call me at 449-7463 or Joyce at 324-2445. Now, a feature of this show is every opening segment, after I do my little spiel about why I'm here, I ask Joyce to update us on all the statistics in the market. Joyce, the mic is yours.
Thanks, Paul. Last week, we talked about the National Association of Realtors' latest 2022 March Existing Homes Report. And based on that, the median existing home sales price for all housing types in March was $375,300, which was up about 15% from March of 2021. And this marks 121 consecutive months year-over-year increases, the longest running streak on record. So NAR's chief economist, Lawrence Yun, who talked about rising mortgage rates, he's predicting that transactions will contract by 10% this year, for home prices to readjust, and for gains to grow around 5%, which would bring us back to the norm. And when we're talking about the regional breakdown, the median sales price for existing homes in the Northeast was $390,000, which was up 6.8% from 1 year ago. In the Midwest, it was $271,000, which was a 10.4% jump from March of last year. The median price in the West was by far the highest at $519,900, up 5.4% from March of 2021. But the biggest increase in median sales price was in the South, where existing home sales or homes sold were $339,000, and that was a 21.2% surge from 1 year prior. So that's pretty significant.
I think in part, if you start looking at the data in greater depth, you'll find that the coasts are emptying out somewhat, especially into the South, and that's as a consequence, the demand for housing has increased prices. I'm just surprised at the Western jump to $519,900. That's a median price in the West is $519,000. That's it's just mind blowing when you consider that half the houses are below that and half the houses sold are above it.
Well, remember, we reported a few weeks ago that San Francisco, their median sales price was $1 million. So go figure.
I don't want to live in San Francisco. I could have 3 houses here. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Right. Now, how does this all compare to us? Are the statistics the same as last week when you reported, or are they changed? And do we really want to worry about the median sales price rather than the average? Which do you think is more important?
Well, the median obviously is going to let us know that when we're talking about that, especially in Hampton Roads, we're looking up in the peninsula all the way down to the south side, including eastern North Carolina, the Moyock, Currituck area. So that's just a generalized number. The average actually gives us a better idea, I think, of what's actually, what we can actually anticipate whenever we're listing homes.
Right.
So the average sales price in Hampton Roads is $343,000, and that was actually up 2% from February, which is good news, right?
I guess, unless you're out there in the market.
Well, unless you're out on the market, right? Well, and the other interesting thing is the median number of days for a home in Hampton Roads to be on the market was 7 days. That's actually 7 days less than the national average, which is double that.
Oh, my gosh.
Do you want to get the phone?
No, I don't want to get the phone. I tell everybody who comes on, turn your phone off. That's the vet. Our dog was attacked by another dog, and so I have an appointment tomorrow. Yeah, that's another story. We'll go into that some. If you're a homeowner and you own a dog, make certain that you know the other dogs that are in the neighborhood well enough so that if they come around and look like they're pleasant and then they pounce on your small hound, you will have a problem. And we have. Anyway, another story. Sorry, keep going.
That's okay. I think the good news was, or for this week, is that the active residential listings had a slight gain of about 6% over last month, so to about 3,000 listings.
However, what's the however?
40% of those listings are available for purchase. 60% are under contract. Now, or have a contingency associated with them.
Yeah, that number is actually year over year down by over 20% from last year.
That's right.
And we still see demand, folks. I mean, there's no question that people need housing. You need to eat. You need to have a roof over your head. And we have constant stream of people into this area, in large part because of our reliance upon the military. And as a consequence, there's a constant customer base, buyer base being built. So if you have a house that's ready for sale, you will probably sell it very quickly, priced properly and prepared properly. Now, let's talk about Chesapeake and Virginia Beach and any major changes since last week in those.
No major changes. We know that the average sales price in Chesapeake is about $370,000. Norfolk is $314,000. Virginia Beach, very high at $392,000, actually almost $393,000. In North Carolina, definitely influenced by new builds. Its average is $434,000. And then on the peninsula, we've got Newport News, about $254,000 is the average sales price. And Williamsburg, of course, is higher at $454,000. So a low of $314,000, a high of $454,000.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you have some interesting statistics from Redfin about how many people have mortgages in place on their homes throughout the United States at a rate of less than 4%?
I do. This was actually reported last week. And obviously with the surging mortgage rates, homeowners who could otherwise be selling are staying put. And the reason is because about half of them, 51%, have mortgages under 4%. So that's about 1/3 of all homeowners. There's about 80 million homeowners projected. So 51% of those actually have interest rates below 4% or at under 4%, and really don't see that it's going to be, an opportune time for them to sell. So they're sitting on the sidelines.
In terms of selling in order to upgrade or to move up in market or to change in size. But most of our traffic that I see is either discretionary because they have a significant increase in income, or it is a corporate or military relocation. I think that changes our perspective a little bit.
Or renters who are paying, like, again, the average rental rate in Hampton Roads is $1,500. They're finding that if they can get a property, pretty specifically, they're looking at attached properties, they can be spending that or less, even with the increased mortgage rates.
There are prepared townhomes and small condos that come on the market for underneath the price point of $250,000 that you can buy for that kind of price. But remember that the lenders factor in not only your principal and interest, but also your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance and any condo or homeowners association dues that you have to pay. Those are all elements of the analysis of your income stream to make certain that you are sufficiently earning sufficient funds to cover that debt. They use that debt to income ratio, mm-hmm. and that's important, and it's the ability to repay even more so.
Right.
Now, did their economists say anything about this? Face it, we do have a slowdown, and it's a slowdown in part, I think, that is fostered by all the hysteria about increasing interest rates. Some of you out there are old enough to remember when they were 17%. Some of you, I'm certain, experienced situations where you're able to buy at 2 7/8. So there's a wide range of interest rates. What is? You had the deputy chief economist, somebody?
Yeah, Taylor Marr. Mm-hmm. He had stated that the slowdown in demand may cause homes to stay on the market longer, in effect, giving buyers more options to choose from, and that overall that could mean housing inventory actually gets better, not worse. There are early signs that demand is starting to back off, and home sellers are increasingly cutting their list prices to find buyers. I don't think we've seen that much of that around here, but nationally, that's what they're reporting. So mortgage purchase applications, we also know, as a result of this, have fallen 6% year over year during the week ending April 8th, and home touring activity is below last year's levels. Well, that's because there's no homes to tour.
Yeah, some of these statistics are self-defeating. That's kind of we don't have any houses to sell, so we don't have any open houses. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. We don't have enough open house traffic to know what the market's like. I know that you've got a note. Then we're going to take a short break, and we want to discuss when we come back some of the adjustments to the loan structures that are being offered by mortgage lenders. Okay, so stay tuned.
Now back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rose and Womble Realtor Paul Fuqua gives you the fundamentals of real estate selling, buying, owning, and improving your home.
Hi, and welcome back. This is Joyce Carcase along with Paul Fuqua, and we are actually just having a good discussion about the mortgage industry and how buyers who are priced out of the market, are intimidated by the higher interest rates, are finding other options.
Yes, you have to realize, number one, that mortgage lenders are not doing this business. They're not lending money out of the goodness of their heart. They're business people. They are somewhat altruistic as long as it doesn't affect their pocketbook, just like anybody else. And they are selling money as though it were lettuce. Money is a commodity, and we tend to lose sight of that because it's near and dear to all of us, especially around planning for vacations or holidays when there are strains on the family budget. Mm-hmm. But the mortgage industry will always find a way to make it palatable for people to buy homes. That's how they make their living. It may be some extreme situations, such as we had years ago when there were no regulations and there was an unfettered amount of lending being done. Some of it was termed predatory lending, but those programs, in part, were able to bring to significant numbers of people the opportunity to build wealth through home ownership. Now, right now, we're seeing for the first time adjustable rate mortgages. You've got some stats on that, don't you?
I do. Actually, I had pulled this from a report from CNBC from real estate expert Diana Olick, and talking about the adjustable rate mortgage demand doubles as interest rates hit the highest since 2009. Higher rates are clearly hitting buyers despite still strong demand for housing, and mortgage applications to purchase a home fell 8% for the week and were 17% lower than the same week 1 year ago. And we're in the heart of this spring market.
Yeah.
Spring housing.
Remember, grass is coming up and there are leaves on the trees, and this is when people and the azaleas are blooming. A brief story, I had a very good friend who decided to take his wife on a tour of some neighborhoods, and it was at this time of the year. This was in Northern Virginia, and they drove past a house with a for sale sign on it and an open house, and it had magnificent azaleas. And this was approximately 20 years ago. And that price of the house 20 years ago was about $800,000. He was a very successful businessman. They walked in. She admired everything about the azaleas, and they bought the damn house. Literally. No other consideration. They had the means to do it, right, but she bought it because of the azaleas. This is that growing time. This is when your grass is greenest.
Yeah, this is when the house looks peak outside if you have it done up the right way. Okay, so because of that, like I said, the adjustable rate mortgage share of applications last week was over 9% by loan count and 17% based on dollar volume. At 9%, the ARM share was double what it was 3 months ago. And again, it's because they're looking for the mortgage lenders are offering a more agreeable platform for their buyers so that they can afford. I
can't stress enough to you that, number one, deal with a lender that has a person with a face that you've seen so that you can go in to pound on the desk if something goes wrong. I just had an experience with another lender for one of my clients who decided to pursue a mortgage placement from a national firm. And it was torturous, absolutely torturous. And during the process, he had to deal with 7 different people, 7 different phone numbers, 7 different emails, and all came at him in an uncoordinated fashion. And this was a simple, straightforward purchase. There was nothing untoward. The man was putting 50% down on this house, and it was crazy what he was run through. And it did get closing today. It was miraculously done because as of 4 days ago, nobody within that organization had an idea that it had any possibility of closing. So,
yeah, face-to-face contact is really important just so that you can walk through it, understand what the expectations are, and if you can have the same person to talk to, it's ideal. Now, it works, online works for a lot of people out there. There's some good providers that are providing these services, but we both have had the experience back to back with this happening to our clients, and it literally came down to the day of closing where we actually got our numbers.
Those clients were prepared. It was not for lack of information. Right. They were prepared from the get-go to provide any and all information that a lender had or would request, because we told them, you got to have all this stuff. Here it is. Here's a list. Bam, 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 bam. And they had it. And it was astounding how the application, as it proceeded, spawned more questions from underwriters than it did from anybody else. And those little people with the green eye shades in the back room that they call underwriters, I think should be actually sometimes called mortgage morticians, because they'll put people to death trying to get all the details. Anyway, we have a special guest. You want to say anything about our Mr. Steve Crane?
Mr. Steve Crane, who has been with, actually, he owns Dominion Electric, has had it for 40 years, and provides some of the best lighting services around. I'm going to go ahead and hand this right off to you, Steve.
Okay. How you doing today?
We're doing okay, Mr. Crane. I know you're a little nervous. You've not been on the radio before, but realize this, you and I have the face for radio, so we're very comfortable.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Believe us. Don't laugh, Dino. Don't laugh. Okay. Now, look, you've been in this electrical business for 40 years, and I know you've have done work on really high-end houses. I've seen some of them. You've done work and have a large bank of friends who call on you for your service. Is that right?
That is very true.
And you don't need any more customers. Is that also right?
That's true.
Now, you going to? Do I tell the audience? Do you want to tell the audience why you don't need any more customers?
Because I want to retire.
The truth of the matter is, the guy is as good organizing his business as he is organizing golf games. And Steve Crane's golf game, he puts things together on a weekly basis for as many as 28 to 32 golfers. And it all works like magic. And he keeps his own handicaps. And it's the Steve Crane game, and it's infamous. Now, I love the man because they've got a little book, and he opens up that book, and he can tell you how you shot, what kind of score you had, how your handicap should fly, and then when he gets to my name, he starts laughing and giggling because my handicap doesn't go down the way it's supposed to. It goes up higher and higher. I'm just anyway. All right.
You're not the only one. There's a bunch of them that do that.
All right,
me
now
included.
Look, I promised you a question I was going to ask was when you've been involved with lots of new construction over the years, and what are the significant differences between new construction of a mega house, something in Bird Neck Point or any one of the more established large dollar home neighborhoods, and a nice 3,000 square foot or 2,500 square foot house? What are the big differences that you're confronted with as an electrician?
Well, in the bigger homes, you have a lot more space, and so you have a lot more outlets. You got a lot more switches, lights. The service size of the house is usually twice the size of a smaller home.
Now, what does that mean?
So it's a 400 amp service usually in a large home, and compared to a 200 amp service in the smaller homes. And there's just so much more detail that goes into the larger homes. They want top quality of everything, and you just have to do what the customer wants.
I asked a question while we were prepping before we went on the air. How many miles of wire goes into a house? And then you asked me how many feet a mile. So, do you have an idea how many feet of wire goes into a typical house? Is it a couple thousand?
At least.
Okay.
I mean, in a small home.
Right.
I mean, we'll do a remodel that can have that much.
Right.
It just depends on how big the rooms are, what you're doing. Kitchen remodels, I mean, that's, major construction as far as electrical is concerned.
Right.
So,
what's the most expensive thing let's talk about a remodel. What's the most expensive thing, one thing that somebody would want installed that would cost them the most money in terms of your service? One thing they want to install something.
That's hard to say. I mean, a generator would be the biggest thing, but inside the house, it depends on the lighting. You got your appliances. There's so many different appliances now, the way they're wired, and they're lots bigger. So
I've noticed some of these refrigerators are absolutely incredible. They're the size of a small apartment.
All refrigerators need their own circuit. I mean, because you don't want that going out because you have a toaster plugged into an outlet that trips, and you don't realize it. So, we always put a separate circuit in for that. Your dishwashers and your garbage disposals. Kitchens are the biggest cost as far as remodeling, and bathrooms are the next.
Right. All right. I got another question. Generators and hookups. We're in an area where there's a danger from hurricanes. There are all kinds of storms. There was a storm that blew through here the other night that everybody was worried about. If I call you up and say, Steve, I've got a 2,500 square foot house, what do I need to do to protect myself for the least amount of money and the most amount of money in terms of power?
Well, a lot of it depends on where your house is located, because if you're in a cul-de-sac or in a end of a neighborhood that is heavily wooded and there's not many people, that's going to be the last people that Dominion Power services.
Okay.
So,
all right, let's take a worst case scenario. I'm in a house. It's 2,400 square feet. It was built in 1955. We still have overhead lines. I got a 200 amp service box. What do I need?
Well, if you want to just have a small generator, you can put a box in, and it's got to have the circuit breaker protection for it, so you can't turn it on with the generator running.
Right.
And but then again, you got to have gasoline to run that generator.
Right.
And if you're out, 5 or 6 days, that's a lot. And also, it only runs a few appliances.
Right.
It doesn't run your whole house.
Right. Well, I know that you came into my place and I described it somewhat in making that description, and you put this thing in the
It's
panel.
interlock.
And then we wired it up so I could start up my 6,000 amp. So 6,000, yeah, 6,000 amp, 6,000 amps, watts. You can describe
big difference.
All right, it's a 6,000 watt generator. That's why I sell real estate. 6,000 watt generator, and it works. Except I haven't used it yet, and I keep waiting for something to happen so I can test it out.
Hey, it's just like an insurance policy. You don't want to use it.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, what about a whole house?
Whole house generators, you can run most of your appliances, all your lighting. It might do one of your air conditioners, depending on how big your house is.
Right.
If you have a big house and you have 4 air conditioners, it's not going to run all 4 of them.
When you talk about watts, what's the average, say a larger house, a 4,000 square foot house, how many watts, if I turned everything on, can you estimate are going to be necessary to be generated? Is it 40,000 watts if I've got refrigerators and freezers and TVs?
The generators that we install usually are what they call 22K,
right?
Which is 22,000 watts. And it'll run most everything in the house.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Okay.
But, it will overload, and it does, but they do have it'll shed itself if it gets overloaded.
Okay.
So they're really great to have.
Now, I call you up and I say, Steve, I know you're 3 or 4 weeks out before you can even come by and look at the house. How much is that going to cost me? Not for you to look at it, but for you to put it in.
Generators run, I would say now, between 10 and 12,000.
Really?
That's for a 22K.
Are there any grants or things that are available from the government that you might know about?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Now,
if they are, let me know.
Yeah, well, what about solar? I see all these ads for solar grants and aid and, incentives.
Yeah, they're out there.
You don't like solar, do you?
I'm not really sold on solar.
Okay.
I mean, there again, you're at the beckoning of the sun.
Right.
And it depends on where your house is located, how much sun you get, how much it's going to work.
Okay. Now the other thing is, you've been in this business 40 years, and my question to you is, how many times have you zapped yourself?
Never twice a day.
Well, the other question was, how do you test a circuit? And you gave me the answer, you stick a finger. I'm sorry, folks. I'm laughing because it's funny. I can't even get the words out, and I'm laughing because
take 2 wires and put your fingers and hold it in. Or get a tester. Yeah. My suggestion is have a voltage tester.
I can have a tester? All right. Yeah.
And know how to use it.
All right. Now, one of the things, do-it-yourselfers. What are the safety issues that a do-it-yourselfer should be aware of? And do you want to give him your phone number so he can decide not to be a DIY?
Well, obviously, electricity is not something to play around with.
Right.
It can get you at any time.
Right.
And it doesn't take a lot to cause problems.
Right.
So, you need to know how to turn the circuits off.
Yeah, that's easy. I can switch those things off.
Just make sure you get the right one, or either turn the whole house off like some of my customers do before they call me. But anyway, I'm talking about Paul.
Well, maybe Joyce, can you jump? I'm so sorry. I told Steve when I asked him to be on the show, look, man, this is going to be like sitting around after a round of golf, and we're going to be just talking. I didn't realize I'd be laughing so hard. And to you listeners, I apologize. Okay, hold on. Let's go back. What's really dangerous? One thing that I shouldn't do without having an electrician either standing behind me or answering the phone saying, yeah, I'll be over and I'll fix it.
It's hard to say. Like I said, 110 can get you just as quick as 220.
Nope.
Yeah, I definitely don't recommend a DUI. A DUI? Yeah, right. A do-it-yourselfer. A do-it-yourself. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I told you this is going to be fun.
A do-it-yourselfer to work on an electrical panel. There's a lot of juice in there, and if you don't know what you're doing, You can short things out, and you can hurt yourself.
Okay, that brought up the thing I asked you. Theoretically, if somebody goes into a panel, he should be either a licensed electrician or he's got to go get a permit or something to that effect.
Yes. The city would like for you to buy a permit for everything you do.
Right.
Plumbing, electrical, everything.
Right.
Changing a receptacle or replacing something. When you add something, you definitely need to have a permit.
Right.
And if you change your electrical service,
right,
you've got to have a permit, or Dominion Power won't rehook. They won't rehook you up.
They won't. Okay.
No. I mean, you never without electricity. We bypass it, but we have to have a new meter or something
right.
put in there. So.
Now, what are those temporary meters I always see at construction sites? Do you put those in, or does the builder put those in? When you got there's a power pole.
Yeah, temporary power.
Okay.
Electrician puts them in.
Okay. And does that need a permit?
Oh,
too?
yes.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Now let's talk about LED lighting. I know you sell an awful lot of LED stuff, and you did my house because I had a lot of cans in there because it'd been owned by an electrician, but and he made changes over the years. And I think you kind of look at me because there were things that you found a little strange when you went through my house.
He was very creative. Put it like that.
No permit.
And that's what happens with a lot of do-it-yourselfers.
Well, yeah, but the guy's a licensed electrician.
I don't know if he will. Okay, well, he did. Still had some creative.
Yeah, all right. But
anyway, yes, LED lighting I think is really good. Retrofits, if you have can lights, are very easy to install. The heat that they produce is nothing compared to a light bulb.
You don't have the thermal switches in them,
Yep.
in can lights and the LEDs?
It's just, but there again, there's different brands of it, so you got to be careful what you buy.
Right.
There's
some of that stuff at Lowe's and Home Depot and the other hardware stores that seem to be inordinately inexpensive. I don't ask you to brand some brand as bad, but
no. I mean,
does Consumer Reports do studies on these things?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I only use one type because I've been very successful with that, and I stay with it.
Oh, can you tell us what type?
I use Lithonia products.
Okay. And you do that for your switches also, and
switches are,
relays.
Pass.
How about the thing? What are those
switches?
things? Rheostats.
Dimmers.
Dimmers. Yeah. Okay.
I like the Lutron dimmers.
Okay.
And you also got to make sure your dimmer is compatible with your LED light. Not all dimmers are compatible with all lights.
Yeah, I know. Because I did some do-it-yourselfing before I called Steve, and I put bulbs, LED bulbs in the can lights, and then everything was on rheostats, and all the lights would do was blink. If you'll recall,
you didn't have LED dimmers.
Exactly.
But there again, not all LED dimmers are compatible with all light bulbs.
Oh, okay.
You go to your manufacturer's sheet when you buy it; it'll tell you what dimmers are compatible.
What's the biggest trend you've seen over the past 5 years in powering homes? What are the things that have become absolute necessities that we considered luxuries 15 years ago? Generators?
Generators are a big thing. I mean, a lot of people don't like being without power.
Right.
And,
I can understand that.
Especially if you do it for 2 or 3 days. I've had it happen to me. But I have a generator,
right?
So that was really nice.
But what else do you see? Is it exterior lighting?
Exterior lighting is a big factor. People like to have their homes lit up, and the LED lighting inside. A lot of people are getting away from surface mount light fixtures,
right?
And they put the can lights or what we call wafer lights, and it makes your room look bigger.
Right.
First of all, you don't have a fixture hanging down that collects a bunch of dust.
Right.
So
now we're going to take a break in the next couple, and we'll be back in a few minutes. And we want to continue our discussion with Steve. And if I can control my laughter, I hope you'll come back to us at 1310 Money Talk 1310 AM, or you can call us 757-497-1310.
Now back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rose and Womble Realtor Paul Fuqua gives you the fundamentals of real estate selling, buying, owning, and improving your home.
We're back with Steve Crane, the owner of Dominion Electric, talking everything electric and DUI and DIYs. I think we can specify a little bit more about that. But we're going to actually jump right back in. And I think, Paul, you want to talk a little bit more about exterior lighting?
Yes, Steve, I really want to tap into this because presentation of a house, I really am zeroed in on how well a house is lighted, both on its exterior and interior. Now, in the summer, it's not quite as vital to have the exterior lighting in place other than for photographs, because most people aren't looking at houses at dusk and beyond. When it gets later in the year, then exterior lighting starts to play in the curb appeal, actual physical impression that someone makes or the house makes when someone drives up to it. But tell me what you suggest a homeowner can do for lighting of his house, say for $2,000. Well, let's start $1,000, $2,000, $10,000.
Well, exterior lighting, I think, is very important because, first of all, it makes your home safe. Even if you're not home, it looks like you're home.
Right.
I have all my lights that are on a photocell.
Right.
They come on at dusk, go off in the morning. I don't have to do anything. I can be gone for a week. My lights still come on.
Do you have the same for interior lights?
I do not.
Okay.
We'll just leave some on usually, but we can put a timer if we know we're going to be a week away. You just put a timer on different rooms, and it'll come on, a lamp or whatever, just to show you're different. But the exterior,
do you prefer they be put in the soffits? Do you put lights in the soffits for down, or do you think?
No, I'm just talking about your wall fixtures. If you get a real nice bright LED door fixture at all your doors, it comes on, it's going to light up. I mean, I got 2 at my front door, I got 2 over my garage, and my back of my house, same thing. They all come on, and I have one motion floodlight, which works sometimes, not all the time.
How about those bulbs they sell at the big box stores that supposedly have internal motion sensors?
It's actually just it's a photocell in there that you put in there.
Okay.
And but you can put soffit lights. I mean, Ring has some real nice lights now that you put up, and you can look at your house.
Are you ever asked to do any security wiring?
No.
Okay.
Usually security does their own wiring.
Right.
If it was a new job, construction, commercial job or something, we might.
Would it be worth it to put in a new house security system wiring with all the stuff that's wireless now?
Everything's wireless.
Yeah.
Now. I mean, it's just like cable TV. We don't put much cable TV in anymore either.
How about you used to wire up for speakers and all when you were wiring houses? I remember
I have done
one.
That.
Yeah.
But that's
it's just a pain though.
I mean, everything's wireless now. So.
It astounds me, and I would assume that has been a necessary learning curve that an electrician has to go through. That we don't need to connect A and B any longer. Now, how involved do you get in that wireless, the configuration?
It depends on what the homeowner wants.
Right.
I'm not an expert on it.
Right.
My wife does most of mine at home. To be truthful,
I'm going to remember that for the golf next time we play. All right, go ahead.
But I mean, some people, just don't get the internet or don't get the wireless. They don't want to have it.
Right. And is there a certain age do you think that's appropriate for those kinds of people? Am I putting you on the spot here, Steve?
No, I'm way past that. How about you?
Listen, I got a dog. That's my home security. Dog and a. Anyway, next question. If somebody's on a tight budget and we're going to be selling their house, and I call you and I say, Steve, what rooms are going to be the most critical in your mind as an electrician in terms of effectiveness and cost for you to put in corner lighting or, can lights? What are the couple of rooms that have the greatest impact in your mind?
I think the kitchen is the most important.
All right.
Got to satisfy the woman, the wife, whatever, and girlfriend. Then you got to...
You're going to try and get yourself out of trouble?
I'm trying to get myself out of trouble.
Don't crash if you're driving, folks. Oh, boy.
Bathrooms. I think the exhaust fans that they used to put in houses are very loud.
Yes.
They have exhaust fans now I put in for some people, and they say, well, this exhaust fan isn't working. It's so quiet.
Right.
And it is.
Right.
And they got a LED light with them.
Right.
So the bathroom's lit up now. Everybody wants to have the vanity light just because it's what they've seen all their life. But a lot of people are getting away from that because you got so much light in there.
All right. Now, I know you said you don't like solar, but I've got to touch on it because there are programs out there.
Yeah.
Is solar going to be part of new home construction in the future, do you think? Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking now for you to just put on your goggles or take off the goggles and say, okay, this is 10 years from now.
I don't think so. It's too expensive to install.
Right.
And then you got to maintain it. It's just, I don't see where, everybody's had a solar light that they bought for their backyard.
Yes.
How long does it last?
Unfortunately,
you buy them every year,
right?
And they're cheap because they don't last,
right?
That's
now
yard lighting. Step lighting. You can put a low voltage light in there, or a rope light or something.
Right.
I just put some on my back deck, some rope lighting.
Right. Is it LED rope lighting?
LED rope lighting, and it comes on.
Well, now they've enacted legislation or recharged legislation to eliminate the incandescent light bulb.
Oh yeah, they did that years ago.
But then it got stayed, it got shoved back, and they were still. But now they've put another date on it.
Oh, have they?
Yes,
okay.
I saw that in some.
Like I said, I try to recommend LED to all my customers.
Right,
and. There's so many different colors of it now. You can get a bright white if you want it in a closet or a laundry room. You get the medium day bright in your kitchen because you want that bright. And they're all dimmable. Right. So you can dim them down if you're having a party or whatever.
The white light that we have in it seems as though it's almost antiseptically white. There isn't any. I don't have it on dimmers. I mean, they're those things you put in.
Those are only 3,000 K. They're not even close to being white.
Well,
you want a white one? I'll bring you one.
No. Hey, 5,000 Kelvin is what we had to use in the printing company.
Yeah, right.
That gave us true colors.
I mean, we put that in garages, and like I said, maybe a laundry room, a closet.
And that's a pure white. That's true color.
Stay bright.
Yeah.
Stay bright.
So remember that, folks. If you want true color to be seen with the light, you got to have 5,000 Kelvin. Is there anything higher than 5,000 Kelvin?
I don't.
Because that's supposedly white sunlight.
Yeah, that's day bright. That's what they call day bright. So.
Okay. Over the years, have the electrical panels changed? Are they the same as they were 20 years or 25 years ago? I mean, you've been in the business 40 years. You've seen it all.
No, I mean, they've taken some of them. They've outlawed certain brands,
right?
And every brand is improved,
right?
I guess the biggest thing is they got more room in them now,
right?
You can put more breakers in there instead of having a bigger panel. You can. They actually have requiring surge protectors now,
right?
On the newer panels.
No kidding. At the entrance. I mean,
yes. Oh. Yes. So you have a surge protector instead of having all your surge protectors around the house. And, of course, it controls the whole panel, not just that circuit. I would still have one on my computers.
Yeah, but now, how good are those surge protectors that you buy, with the 3 outlets and the switch on and off, and it says it protects it?
I think, they're supposed to work. I mean, I think they work all right.
Right.
There again, you can go buy
Good stuff.
You can go buy good stuff. You can go buy bad stuff.
Right. Okay. Do you want to give our listeners your phone number?
You can.
All right. Dominion Electric.
757-434-8616.
And you are Steve Crane, and
Yes.
you are the proprietor.
I am.
Yeah, and folks, I can tell you, I've done business with an awful lot of people over the years, and this man is truly a joy to work with. If he says he's going to get it done, it gets done. If he says it's going to be X number of dollars, it's going to be X number of dollars. And if he runs into a problem, he will let you know immediately. So I thank you very much for being part of our show today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that we can bring you back at some time in the future. And we will send you a copy of this for you to play for your family and friends.
Thanks a lot.
On YouTube, and it'll be the Steve Crane Hour.
Okay.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and say goodbye.
Okay.
Now back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rosenwomble Realtor Paul Fuqua gives you the fundamentals of real estate selling, buying, owning, and improving your home.
Okay, folks, we've had a very good discussion with Steve Crane of Dominion Electric, and this evening I'm going to ask Joyce to close out the show. My voice, I've been laughing so hard that I'm afraid I might embarrass myself. So, Joyce, why don't you close it out?
Okay. Well, we hope you enjoy this broadcast and that you're learning a little bit more about the market, investment opportunities, and your rights as a buyer and seller. And obviously, with the differences between DUI and DIY, I cannot let that one go. If you have questions or are interested in hearing a topic or that we've not covered, please give us a call. Let us know. You can call Paul at 757 what's your phone number again?
757-449-7463 or paulfuquarealtor.com or fuquahomesales.com.
And you can reach me at Carcase Home Sales. You can also call me at 757-324-2445. And we've got all of these episodes up on our YouTube channel, the Real Estate PB&J Hour. Please go, take a look or take a listen, I should say, and subscribe. We'd love to get some feedback from you as well in the event that there's anything that we're missing.
And to say thank you for listening to our show, we are continuing to offer the 31 tips on how to prepare your house to gain the largest return and the best sales price possible. It's at no cost to you. Just visit us at either my home website, paulfuquarealtor.com or fuquahomesales.com, or
and
Joyce.
That's FUQUA. That's a hard one to remember.
Not if you're from the South.
Well, okay. And mine is CARCAISE Home Sales.
And those are free. And please, if you enjoy the show, let your friends know. And if you don't enjoy the show, let us know. We'd be more than happy to make corrections. And if you're a good enough guest, we'll have you on, and you can lambaste us on for the air, or you can add to the body of knowledge we've tried to bring. It's not all about buying and selling. I could spend hours and hours talking about all the little elements of selling a house. Joyce can do the same thing. It's what you're doing with your property that we think is very important.
That's right. So thanks for tuning in with us. Tune in for more real estate news next Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Money Talk 1310, 100.9 FM, 1310 a.m. Have a great weekend.
Don't forget, moneytalk1310.com. moneytalk1310.com. Thank you.